Hey everyone, this is Christopher Carter from Dynamic Music Partners, and you're listening to my friends at Geekcast Radio.
Well, of course he would. Wouldn't you, honey? I mean, to work with someone as famous as Mr. Wayne.
Sure.
I warn you, I can be a difficult taskmaster. I accept nothing short of excellence from all who work for me.
I think I can handle it.
Very good then, Mr. McGinnis. Welcome to my world.
Hello and welcome to the Pullbags third annual Batman month. Okay, technically we took a year off last year in 2016, but you get the point. I'm of course TFG1 Mike, and various other GCRN crew members will be joining me here inside the Pullbag for this month's long look at various Bat comics. In the past we've done, oh god, so many different things. There was, when we did the Scott Snyder run, Talking Court of Owls, Death of the Family, and a couple other things. In 2015, we did Mad Love, Batman Beyond, the animated series, Kyle Higgins written stuff, Rewired, Justice Lords, and all that. We've done various other, like we finally got around to episode 121. We finished off Kyle Higgins' run, so there's been a lot of Batman coverage here inside the Pullbag, and this year is no different as always. So we are going to be talking about various Batman stories this time around. And included in this is we're going to finish off our 2015 Bat Beyond series look, where this episode today we're going to talk about the storyline City of Yesterday, which runs through issues 7 to 11 of that series. After that, we've got issues 12 to 16, which is Wired for Death. And then we're going to go into the Rebirth issues, number 1 and 2 at least. And then after that, my buddy Joe Reed's going to join me for Batman TMNT from DC and IDW. And then at some point at the end of the month, somebody's going to join me for Stephanie Brown's Batgirl from 2009 for the first 2 issues of that. So joining me, of course, with Batman Beyond is JT from Saskatoon. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi. Oh, pretty good. Oh, boy. Just reading this one, since the last episode we did with the first arc of this series and doing this one, I've just kind of been marathoning Batman Beyond because... Damn it! I need this. I need this in my life again. I kind of forgot how much I love this series, like both the animated and the comics.
Yep.
I even went back and found some of the original like Batman Beyond Adventure series that they put out during the time the show was actually on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, God, why didn't this run longer?
I know, right?
Damn your eyes, Bruce Timm. Damn your eyes.
Well, the interesting thing about the 2015 series is that it's gone beyond telling stories with Terry McGinnis. As we said back in February when we did the first arc, Brave New Worlds, Terry had died in the past and Tim Drake got sent into the future, and we had the whole Brother Eye storyline now with this whole new storyline, City of Yesterday, which I absolutely love that line. I just love that as a story tagline. So City of Yesterday basically picks up where that left off, but Tim needs to figure out what is gonna, because the suit's essentially dead, so that means Batman is dead, and we get some nice in issue 7. This opens with Tim trying to figure this out, and he even has the line, where later he says, well, I was the one to figure out Batman's secret, so if I can't figure this out, we've got a problem. Before that, I love this opening with him and Barbara, where he's like, I guess that's that. Batman is dead. Oh, don't be so dramatic. Also, I hate yelling. Would you please turn the music down? Sorry, Grandma. It helps me concentrate.
Just the oldie station, Tim?
Yeah, I know.
The greatest hits of the 20-teens is like Yesterday for me, Mom.
Yeah. I just love their chemistry together. I think it's absolutely hilarious. And as soon as I read that line, I had just looked up various popular bands from the early 2000s, rock bands, and several of them are actually going to go out on the Make America Rock Again tour. So 12 Stones, Saliva, Trapped, several other bands that we all know and love are going to be on the Make America Rock Again tour. So that's going to be
an interesting show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I love just in the issue 7, like in the beginning, is, and this is just me because I used to love reading Who's Who of the DC Universe when I was a kid, and they would occasionally have like the cutaway sections of like the Secret Sanctuary of the Justice League or the Batcave, and you get like these schematics that you see a few times on the back computer monitor, like it's almost like an anatomical drawing of the suit, and you can't always see the really fine details, but that's just a touch that I really loved going into this first issue, and also it I don't know about coding for such technology, such as it is in our world, but the way Tim figures out how Bruce hid the command codes or like the proper sequence that he needs to fix the suit in the code, he's like, well, if you skip 1, then 2, then 3, then words in a sentence, you find the real thing. And it just, only some paranoid schizophrenic man with rage control issues who lives in a cave and way too much time on his hands would think of a way to code his technology like this.
Well, that's Bruce Wayne for you.
Like I said.
Yeah.
But I love that. And then just later on when he goes out for his first test flight, and how it works for all of 30 seconds, and the boots cut out on him. And he's like, nah, I got this shit. Where did I put the reboot switch? And he's got like Bluetooth or something or other tucked over his one ear, and then it works. And I also love the ka-chow sound effect they have in that panel, which that's exactly what it sounded like when Terry would take off in the suit with his boot jets in the show.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's to bring it back like that.
Yeah. And then we get the further adventures of Matt McGinnis. He's trying to figure out where and why the Green Lantern arm came from, and he goes into this shop and basically makes a deal with the owner. Of course, what the owner doesn't realize is that Matt had already taken the Green Lantern ring off of it. So there's that. And apparently all the Brother Eye tech is obviously illegal at this point, and while Matt's in here trying to, get the information out of this guy, we get the door kicked in, and holy crap, Rewire is back. And for those that don't know, Rewire is the villain that Kyle Higgins created in his run on the animated arc. Like I said, oh God.
That was the digital series, right?
Yeah, that was the digital series, the 2014 digital series. So the Rewired arc was the first arc for that story because he created the new villain, because that was his way of being able to homage the show, because Rewire had the cloaking technology that he got from Spellbinder. So he had Borgs, look like the original BTAS Bat Family and everything else. So that's where Rewire comes in. But Rewire here is not. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this now, folks. It's Rewire, but it isn't Rewire. Dan Jurgens really does pull a fast one on us with this, and it's a good fast one, and it's amazing. So Rewire shows up, and he wants
a battery.
Yeah, he wants his battery, or he wants his money back, and he's going to get triple for the aggravation, and Matt just kind of leaves, and then the place blows up.
Well, yeah, he basically, because Matt took the I love the mention of the Global Peace Agency, or like I said in the last episode I was on for this series, that's a nod to the Great Disaster stories that Jack Kirby created for DC when he jumped ship from Marvel back in the 70s. And they reference in that first arc that Gotham is as much as they know of what the world is like. Like, they just know that Gotham has survived. Mm-hmm. So the Global Peace, maybe that should just be like the Municipal Peace Agency, or however, like say the 5 boroughs peace agency or something, because you guys really don't know. Like to call yourself a global peace agency and you're in one goddamn city doesn't make a lot of sense. But I like that Matt's, for whatever reason, like you said, he's trying to figure out, where this tech come from, like what happened to the Justice League, because he's still trying to deal with his issues of his brother being dead and Tim taking over, and he's got some of that. He's got that little bit of rage in him,
Yep.
And so Rewire is not a nice man in this sequence, because he comes in and he just starts throttling this guy, and Matt, you see he's like crapping himself with the look in his face, and then there's the one thing where he's just like, you know what, I've had enough of this. He grabs the cyborg arm and runs out the door, and that just the look in his face in that panel where he takes the hand, he looks like he could give less of a shit about what's about to happen to this guy.
Yeah,
like how damaged are you?
Yeah. Well, you had read the original series, right? The original Kyle Higgins run for Rewire, so you know who Rewire was and everything else. And I was really surprised to see that they brought him in here, and I just assumed that because at the end, part of the end of the Kyle Higgins run, they kind of left Rewire kind of up in the air, that Ghoul might come back and Rewire might come back and they might work together again. So I was really surprised to see Rewire here, and then later I was even more surprised to see who Rewire really is. And we're not going to reveal that just now. We might do that in the next episode, obviously, but yeah, I mean, Matt's just one of those kids that apparently in this alternative future of Neo Gotham, because of Terry dying, that's all he cares about, is figuring out what happened to his brother, where is his brother really dead or not, and the rest of the world be damned.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the exchange here with him and Nora in the next few panels where, he basically full out lies to her and then, goes up to bed and starts, mapping Metropolis and all that. And then that's where we get back to Tim and Barbara and the tests here, like you were talking about earlier. What I love about this is Barbara, I almost feel like I should be out there. And he says, I have no problem with Batgirl being here.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like, hey. And she's just like, that, and you shut your mouth.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so, yeah, like I said before, Tim, jumps off of, like, Wayne Tower or whatever building that was, and, it's, he has that thing where the boot jet's cut out, and he takes off, and he busts up a robbery from, like...
the Jokers.
Yeah, and I like that, you got, like, this, like not Harley painting up this one guy. He's like, you look unhappy, makeover time.
Yeah.
And just putting like the white face paint and the red lipstick on, and and Terry busted up and even comments is like food shortages and these assholes are stealing diamonds.
Yep.
And it's just basically it's not nothing other than just Batarang explosive discs.
Yeah. Why not both?
And he's like, I guess that means Batman is back, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I love the smile that he has on his face when he takes off with the Jokers. And, we go, it's the next day. Matt has apparently taken off early for school. And was it Nora's just kind of like, bullshit. And Barbara brings Tim to her place to, look, you can't leave the goddamn cave. You just can't. No. Bad Tim. And makes him sleep on her couch, and she's kind of like, she's almost like the Catwoman, and they make a comment about this earlier on. That
I love it.
She's an old cat lady.
I just love his question to it and her reaction to it, where he's like, you've got cats, why wouldn't I? Selena, should I need to say anything more? And they don't really do anything with that, which is kind of like, I'm not expecting Selena Kyle or any of her descendants to show up in this, but I'm just saying, and I know they don't, but I'm just saying that, like, if that was a question of why wouldn't she, or why wouldn't I, maybe Selena wasn't, maybe this future is alternated enough that, I don't know, maybe Selina wasn't around. Maybe Selina wasn't Catwoman. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, they become roommates.
Just agree to keep personal life off limits because, you think you might know me, but I'm not the one you know, and yada yada. And the cats, I love the scene where Tim comes over and he kind of looks like he's petting the white cat, and the cats are all like, yeah, you're cool.
Yeah.
The cats have accepted him as one of their own. They will teach him his ways.
Hey, if I can get 13 cats to accept me, I'm sure Tim can get 2 cats to accept him.
Exactly.
So yeah, the cool thing about this is, as I've noticed throughout this, first of all, in the Batman scenes, this is not. I don't think there was one of these issues that it was not Bernard Chang. It was somebody else, and I think it was this one, or it might be the next one.
No, it's this one. I'm just looking at the written by Dan Jurgens, Stephen Thompson. I always want to say Stephen. But yeah, Steve Thompson did the art on that. So it's kind of close, like just in their style. It's kind of
it's somewhat in Bernard's style, and obviously the Batman stuff is very sleek and things, and when you've got the Crash, he does kind of still use Bernard's Crash, red, yellow, orange, white style. But what I like is, how slightly different it is, and the fact that they are, and you mentioned this back in February in the other episode that we'll link into this one as well. She's not old, but she's not young either, but she's still got the red hair. Yeah, I would say Barbara here is probably late 40s, mid 50s, somewhere in there, maybe.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this Batman Beyond future is like 35 years beyond the Earth's end, Earth's end future, which was. So yeah, I'd say late 50s or mid 50s, something like that. God, I've gone cross-eyed. So the first issue of this ends with again, I go back to my Judge Dredd comparison, because when you see this dump truck leaving the Gotham or Neo Gotham city limits, it looks like the wall sort of from the Stallone Judge Dredd movie, where they're in this clearly armored dump truck. They got to drive like a mile out of town to dump this shit and come back. And we see Matt jump off the top of this thing, and there's this last. I really love this shot of him looking towards the horizon. We see like the outskirts of Gotham have been annihilated like this, and he's on the hunt.
Yep.
And it moves into the next one, which this is where we get full on, like we get a lot more Jack Kirby references. It brings back one of my personal favorite villains from the animated series, and also one of my absolute favorite episodes. It's the return of Dr. Cuvier.
I never liked that guy.
I just kind of like the suave villains, the mad scientist types like that. Like that's just my thing. So I love Cuvier, and also like just a quick aside to that, the Splicers episode, like one of my favorite sequences involving Ace. Mm-hmm. And where once Cuvier goes from being like the Chimera to, dear God, you fell into a fire. Mm-hmm. He turns into like the beast, and he's about to sting Ace, and Terry Gratz is like, don't touch my dog. And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
I love that sequence. But yeah, so Terry.
Tim goes and finds the shop.
I'm just going to call him Drake. That way I
there
won't
you
mix
go.
it.
Drake
has left Gotham, or he's going to leave Gotham, but he ends up fighting Rewire early in this first issue because he's tracking Matt down.
Yeah. Now we should point out the reason why, and I don't know this for sure. I'd have to actually ask the artists or the creative teams and find out why. We said Stephen Thompson was on issue 7. The reason why Stephen Thompson was on issue 7 was maybe Bernard Chang had something else to do. I don't know, but the reason why I think they did not have Bernard Chang on issue 7 because it was listed as City of Yesterday prologue. This chapter 8 is actually the first is part 1 of City of Yesterday. So
yeah, sometimes from what I've seen over the years reading comics, when you have like a one-issue fill-in like that, it's generally to give the main artist, in this case Chang, just a quick breather. This was planned ahead of time. This isn't
absolutely.
So it's just it's all it is a quick, give him a quick breather, he's on them, we'll go. So yeah, Drake is, see, it works. Drake's looking for Matt. He tracks him. I like the reference to the current Batgirl comic book where he goes to Burnside, which is the area of Gotham that, New 52 Barbara operates in.
Yep.
He runs into Rewire, who's still looking for this goddamn battery for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim finds this thing that he calls essentially a jacked up 3D printer.
Yeah.
And all the iTech was, again, turned over to the Global Peace Agency. The place blows up good, and then we cast there. Apparently, we don't know how far Matt's traveled at this point, but you see there's like craters and some sort of like junkyard township has grown up along this path.
Yep.
And we see this dude in a beard and goggles who's going to show up later on in Gotham. And they flash back to, we go to Micron?
Yeah.
The Atom. And we see the fall of the Justice League in this future. And when Brother Eye initially attacks, and it's a rather graphic, for like the 3 panels it takes. Mm-hmm. But you see a rather graphic transformation from, Warhawk to Warborg.
Yeah.
He's stabbed by one of these, like, claws of the Brother Eye bugs, and next thing you know, now you've probably never seen this movie, but there's this sci-fi movie called Screamers from the late 90s or very late 90s about, it's in the future, and there are these robots who can are like security drones, and they can kill you and copy you, and just some of the the way Bernard Chang draws the Iborgs looks very similar to how these creatures look from this film, because it's just like all of a sudden just stabbed, and Warhawk no more, and then Barda gets taken down, and it's rather, all of a sudden they got like alien like knife tongues coming out of their mouths, and Micron's just like, peace, I'm out, and he escapes, and that's it.
And then Gotham versus everybody happens, because now we go back to Gotham after the Justice League fates are revealed here.
Yeah.
We go back to Gotham, and everybody that wants to come into Gotham is not being let into Gotham because apparently all the supplies are just for Gotham. And there's a huge fight over this, and Batman gets into it just a little bit, and hey, look, it's Mayor Fox. Batwing is the mayor.
I think that's kind of cool, and again, just his design is a nod to, Barbara's husband from the animated series.
Yeah, Sam.
Sam without the mustache, but he's still got the sweet goatee.
Yeah.
And so Batman at this point, you start to see how there's going to be like this big social class war thing coming up, where some of the guards are like, hey, Gotham for Gothamites, man. It's I'm not calling it a social justice warrior commentary. It's just
it's a little bit of a social justice thing, because it's like, some people, people need help, and Gotham supposedly has the help that that these outsiders need, that they have nowhere else to go, kind of thing. And as we're going through this and talking to the mayor, and which makes my first priority the same as it always was, Drake, keeping it safe and all that. And then one of the guards speaks up and says something about only because it seems like it's pretty easy to get out if you're crazy enough to try. And Batman's like, details, and he tells him about the kid, and turns out the kid is Matt, and we then go to somewhere close to Metropolis?
Oh no, Matt's in Metropolis, because he's got his like little PDA who's, you see the doctor will help you survive, and we see this like landscape shot, which is reminiscent of a picture we saw in the previous issue when he started looking up Metropolis, and you see like the now decimated skyline of the greatest city in the world.
Oh my god! Do you notice what's in that skyline, dude?
The Daily Planet and the Justice League Watchtower.
Look at the Daily Planet.
Yeah,
that globe is just like sitting at the top of a point. It's like sticking a knife into a giant chocolate ball.
It's just like it's not so much a planet as a kind of crescent moon for all that's like missing from it now.
Yeah, great Caesar's ghost.
Yeah, and we see some splicers following Matt, and you know they're going to come into it. And once we get to the end of this, I'll mention what a little more clarification on the Jack Kirby stuff. Like I said, I love this.
It's the splicers, right?
Yeah, it's the splicers.
Yeah,
but specifically, there's a character coming up, and then we move into the next one. Now, issue 9. Like, I'm following with some single digital issues that I have.
I am too.
I love the cover to issue 9 with the kind of Mount Rushmore-esque statues of Green Lantern and Barda and Warhawk as these splicers chase Drake through them. You know, I really do like that. And
yeah, that cover is awesome. That's one thing I wish that the Bat Beyond series, all of them, even from Kyle Higgins' run, even from back when Norm Brayfogle and Adam Beecham were doing them. That was the 2012 series, I believe. 2012, 2011, something like that. Steve and I had already done an episode on it, but I really wish that DC would give these more variants, because some of these have variants, but it's only if it's a variant month. Like there's going to be one later. It's either issue 10 or 11 that has a BVS variant, and I don't want a BVS variant. I just want variants from the series, like different artists interpretate. Like you look at the Turtles comics at IDW. Most of the Turtles comics currently at IDW, each issue will have at least one or two variants. So the main cover will be from whatever artist is on that part of the story, like issues 61 to 64 or issue 50. I don't know. There was a whole thing where one of the artists was Dave Wachter, okay, and he would do the main cover, and then other people would do the variant covers. Like there's a Eastman cover, there's a somebody else cover, and I really wish DC would have done that with this Batman Beyond series. I don't know if they do that with the current Rebirth series, because I wanted to wait until we could go through all of this before I haven't even read Batman Beyond Rebirth yet. I know what happens in the beginning of it because of what happens at the end of this series, but I just have not read up on that series yet, and we're going to get into that eventually once we get through this. But yeah, City of Yesterday, Part 2. Batman and the Batmobile. I'm not so sure about this. I like him inside the Batmobile, the very first panel here, where it has the fact that it's Dan Jurgens, Bernard Chang, all that stuff, the creative. But seeing the Batmobile outside of Gotham, it's a little too aqua. I don't know. It just doesn't look black enough for me on the front
colors
part.
So
yeah. I'm like
a little spoiled with the color palette from the animated series. I do like that first shot of it's like when Terry was in the Batmobile in the cartoon, how it's all got that red light,
the red,
the cyber circuits all over in that. Mm-hmm. I enjoy that, and so yeah, he's going after Matt, and we see the outsiders, and versus the first time we looked outside, like this has to be like a couple of days later or something, because now you've got like what amasses, like you got like a hobo camp on crank outside this one gate.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayor Fox and Micron have gone out to talk to the people, and we get that red on white monochromatic stuff again. And it's just kind of used I like how Chang uses that to illustrate the dialogues in like those specific panels, or the moments in those specific panels, like where Mayor Fox is like, look, we only have a little bit, we're trying to work it out, just gotta help us out here. And then this one guy kind of gets up in his face, and then this security guard just straight up like cracks him in the head with the butt of his weapon.
Yeah.
And then we have that one where Mayor Fox is like, oh, this shit's gonna go south real quick.
Yeah. I want to go back just for a second here when Tim is basically giving Barbara a pep talk about having to, take point on rebuilding the world. I love her line, and I can so hear Angie Harmon, because Angie Harmon was Barbara in Return of the Joker. Obviously, it was Stockard Channing in the actual series, but it was Angie Harmon, and I just love Angie Harmon as old Barbara. I just love this line, and I can so hear her voice saying this. Rebuild the world, he says. Where do we start?
Oh, yeah. and you know what? Yeah, I agree with you. Like, Stockard Channing did a great Barbara Gordon in the show, but I think Angie Harmon, for her one appearance, was... Well, it's just... Raise your hand if you grew up in the 90s and you don't have a crush on Angie Harmon. Yeah, I'll call you a liar. Because Angie Harmon was the hotness back in the day. And she still is.
She still is now. I mean, But if you watch all 7 seasons of Rizzoli and Isles, I mean, but it's just one of those things where I always hear Angie's voice anytime Neo Gotham Barbara is speaking. So Batman gets into the city. He's trying to find the Doctor, and so is Matt. And we run into splicers. Yay, splicers.
I'm not going to lie, if that was an actual option, I might try that.
What?
Splicing?
No, you would not.
Yeah, I would.
No, you would not.
I'd go full-on Monkey Man. Yeah. But yeah, so...
Really? Seriously? You're going to go full-on Monkey and really? You wouldn't want to go Slithe?
No, no. Maybe I'd go Tiger, and just call me Khan. Sheer Khan. But yeah, but I like that Matt's crawling through the wreckage of Metropolis. He's being hunted by the Slicers, and you see that he's like trying to prove something to Drake, and he still doesn't like really trust Drake because he sees the Batmobile fly overhead, and he's like, "Don't think I can take care of myself? I'll show you." Mm-hmm. And then we go and we see there's actually, Metropolis wasn't completely wiped out, but you think it would have, given they probably didn't have the veil the way Gotham did.
Yeah.
And you've got this marketplace in which I think is George Washington Square, with whiskey, just 2 bottles left, boiled water, guaranteed fresh to drink, stuff like that. And
is that how they make that up in Canada?
Well, only on the really cold days. Terry's like trying to...
Tim.
Yeah, sorry, damn it. Drake's trying to get the lay of the land, and you got this lady, like everyone, it's like New York hustle on crank, and he's just trying to get some directions and information, and all of a sudden she's all paranoid, and this other guy butts in. He points him in the direction of the Doctor, who's basically taken over the Justice League Watchtower.
Yep, and then we go back to Matt, who gets caught by the Splicers.
Yeah, by Khan, let's call him, and Monkeyin, and Lady Monkeyin, or... Honestly, when I saw the female monkey splicer, I couldn't help but think of that god-awful Tim Burton Planet of the Apes remake, where Helena Bonham Carter is in the chimp makeup, and she kind of almost looks like Michael Jackson, in his later years.
Yeah, most Tim Burton films, most of them are god-awful, so there's a couple exceptions. Batman 89, Edward Scissorhands, those are alright. No, when I saw the super giant blue monkey, I'm like, oh, hey, it's a blue monkey. And then I'm like, hey, it's a descendant of Gorilla Grodd. Great.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I read this and I saw that, I thought of this old animated series, Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys.
Yep.
Specifically, the giant, soft-spoken, possibly special needs gorilla who hulks out every episode and is voiced by Uncle Phil. God rest your soul, James Avery.
Yep.
But yeah, so they're kind of bugging Matt, and then Drake rescues him. And all of a sudden, the Green Lantern ring gets a mind of its own,
and goes flying off elsewhere to search for Kyle Rayner, the best Green Lantern ever.
And this also proves that Matt clearly has mental issues, and because Drake is fighting with Khan and Grodd Jr. and whatnot. This antenna off this one building has fallen over and created an ad hoc bridge to the watchtower. This kid, he's like, what, 10, 11 years old, let's say. At this,
something like that, yeah.
Something like that. He's at least 12, 14 stories in the air. He just crawls up in this thing and runs his ass across like he is just like gone full on Schmeagol Golem with the precious at this. Pardon me.
One ring to rule them all.
Yeah. And Drake, I did it again, and it's probably not going to stop.
It'll stop at the end of the series.
But Drake's having a pretty, fairly intense fight. I mean, he has a pretty graphic thing where he throws like a caltrop or something into Lady Monkey's face, and then she gets like 2 brand new piercings. I was just like, God, Jesus! I don't care if you're a bad guy and not. Like, rules of engagement, good sir. And then he gets a boot to the head, and Matt follows the ring, and it's all like, all over the place, and he finds the frozen bodies of the Justice League Unlimited.
Yep.
But isn't Superman supposed to be dead?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Superman's always supposed to be dead. I mean, and that's one thing I don't get going into. I mean, we're going to give our overall thoughts for the whole arc here, folks, at the end of the episode. But just kind of wrapping this one up, it's like, okay, we see Cairo, Barda,
Warhawk, Marina.
Warhawk and Marina, and we also see Superman. But only 4 of the 5 here are woken up, and Superman is just kind of left there. That's what didn't make any sense to me. And then, of course, to end this issue, we cut back to Cuvée, and he says, "How nice of you to bring my old friend Batman to Splice." And then we have next, Justice Lost.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just I'll look it up later just from my own identification with the voice actor they had for Dr. Cuvée. Like I said, I've always loved that smooth criminal type guys, and I hear that voice, especially when the Justice League gets unpotted here in a bit. Mm-hmm. I hear their voice actors, but specifically I hear Dr. Cuvier's voice.
Yeah.
And moving into the next one.
This is the one. Issue 10 was the one that has the BS that is BVS variant cover. The main cover for this is great. It's basically Batman looking like he got punched in the mouth with Barda and Superman and Aquagirl and Cairo, just all kind of standing there. And then you go to the Batman Beyond BS that is BVS, and it just looks weird.
Oh yeah.
The cover is just like, look, I've loved Bernard Chang's stuff, and I assume he did this cover because it doesn't list anybody else.
Philip Tan with Elmer Santos does the main cover. Okay. Like the one where the JLU's looking at him with like the creepy glowing eyes, and
right.
Dustin
Najin.
Yeah. Dustin
is
calling. Yeah. I recognize his art. He does the BVS variant.
Yeah, and as much as I like that guy, as much as I like his art and other things, I just don't think in this world, in the Batman Beyond world that they've set up at 9.5, almost 10 issues, that we needed a BS that is BVS cover, because the Superman that's in this doesn't even have a freaking cape, and yet you have to draw this in a style of where Batman has a gun. Really? Seriously? Look at that cover.
Has a gun?
He's holding a machine gun.
Sorry, I thought you said Superman, and I just brain farted. Yeah, no, I remember that. Well, that's from the whole prophetic dream sequence that Batfleck has in BVS.
Yeah,
but we start this issue. I love this panel. This is probably one of my favorite single panels of this whole series so far. Is Drake charging at the Shere Khan?
Yeah,
it's just like yes, that's what Batman does. He runs headlong to some asshole who's probably had way too many steroids that day.
Yep.
And it's double page spread here of Drake flipping around and fighting all of them more or less at once. And then,
as much as I love Tim Drake, as much as I love this kid, now wasn't his origins? I know Dick I know Dick Grayson's origins, but didn't Tim have something to do with a circus at one point or another? I know that's Dick's story, but I'm just saying that wasn't there something somewhere that
OG Drake from like previous to the New 52, he was at the circus with his parents, and he was all of 5 because he's about 5 years younger than Dick.
Okay.
Dick Grayson.
Yes, we know.
He's about 5 years younger than Dick. He was like 5 at the circus the night that the Flying Graysons were taken out by was it Boss Maroney?
Yeah.
So, but in the New 52 one, just to let you know, in the New 52 one, he is this super genius at a high school level. He's an almost Olympic gymnast sort of thing. So he's got a lot of the same training as Dick does.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say this is the reason why I ask about this is because his first line to Shere Khan is, "Why didn't you tell me the circus was in town?" I'm like, hey, wait, is this Tim Drake or is this Dick Grayson? Because that so sounds like a Grayson line.
Yeah. But yeah, and I love the scene where Grodd Jr. Just one hand grabs Batman, just throws him to the mat, and we see Cuvier talking to another Tiger Man there and talking about how, well, Gotham was hidden from the Eye, Brother Eye invaded Metropolis, and few people survived. That's why we see that market scene. And Cuvier kind of helped them, offered them hope with the splicing. And he's talking to Prince Tufton, who, again, I'll bring it up at the end of the episode who Tufton is. Okay. And he makes reference to that Grodd Jr. and Lady Monkey are from the Evil Factory, which is another Jack Kirby reference. And it's basically they've worn Batman down to this standstill. We go back to Matt, and he's trying to figure out how to wake up the Justice League when the Ring forces its way into Cairo, the Buddhist Green Lantern, who I really liked him in the show. It's just like a Buddhist with a Green Lantern ring, a largely pacifist. Oh God, that was just brilliant. Like, it was so interesting to me. So the Ring wakes up Cairo, and he wakes up the rest of he wakes up the rest of the League, and all of a sudden Tantor on 2 legs jumps in like this. I kind of want action figures of some of these splicers.
Yeah.
Like specifically this, elephant in the room. But yeah, so he's fighting the JLU. We go back to Gotham, and this is where we get maybe not so much a social justice commentary, but just like this is like one of the most stock sort of lines is like, "Don't sell out your own commish. My own kid needs medicine. If he can't get it because of them," and it's the pot's boiling on both sides of the wall, and then the people outside in the hobo camp, they get their cans of beans and their methane gas, and I don't know how they got explosives, but they blow this huge friggin' door that's probably like 30 feet high and like at least 10 feet thick.
Yeah.
And
And what I love here, again, Chang's art consistently, and seeing different characters, like, you see,
we see Goggles, McBeardy, and Barbara and Mayor Fox. And
you see all this going on, and I don't really see it as a commentary, even though we've been calling it that on social justice, but it's basically...
Well, it's a class...
The world, yeah... But I mean, Gotham inside is just as bad as it is. I mean, it's not, the city is not as bad, but I mean, its people are, they're living off of rations. And yes, the people that are outside have nothing. I understand that. But it's bad for everybody. It's not just bad for one class or the other kind of class. I thought, it's bad all around.
Oh, yeah. And I love, and this is the only commentary I'll make on your president, I swear, this episode.
Here we go.
But there was more people camped outside the wall of Gotham City than that were at the inauguration. But of both.
I'm trying to think, because and this is months ago now, folks, so, just keep in mind, this has already happened. After the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump, they did the David Muir traditional White House, ABC News White House walkthrough interview thing. Mm-hmm. And they showed a picture of the inauguration, giant, blown up, probably, picture framed on the wall of the White House of Inauguration Day, and it looks like it's filled up more than what most of the Photoshop stuff shows you, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So moving on. I love the next, and I would have to talk to Bernard Chang and have to ask him about this when we get back to Drake versus the Splicers, and you've got that setup there at the back, like the building in the background with the lights. I have to ask him if he aped the design of the final battle with Joker from Arkham Asylum. Where have you played that game? Mm-mm. Okay. By the end of Arkham Asylum, Joker has and to say it's a weaponized version of Venom kind of puts it lightly. He's basically mixed Venom with Joker Venom, like his Joker gas, and created this stuff where he mutates himself into like this hulked out version of the Joker. He's got like giant bone claw fingers and a mohawk, and you have to take him down. But it's on the roof of Arkham Asylum, and I swear that's what just the overall design of that looks like that stage from the game.
Yeah.
So I like that, and
I think my favorite part of this section of the story of this issue is that where they go back to Metropolis in the battle. But I like the panel right before that, at least on Comixology, when the guided view pulls out to show the full page, where you have all the various people's arguments in the red and white, and then in the center is the exploded gate. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah. And it's, like I said, that art style, like that red on white, is used to highlight specific panels and instances, and that's what works. Like it, as much as I kind of find it irritating a bit.
Yeah, I've always, and no offense, Mr. Bernard Chang, please do not come after me with a batarang, but it's just one of those things where I like the traditional style of what we have in this full-on battle thing here, where it's where Mr. Monkey says, "Want, beat, bat." I like that style, and I love the style that he's using. But sometimes when he switches to his, high definition red, white, orange, yellow, black, it sometimes can be jarring. But on the other panel that I mentioned, I don't mind it, and I actually do enjoy it because you're highlighting people that are arguing after the explosion, and that basically, Gotham belongs to everybody, and that's just really interesting and fun. And so we get back to the battle here, and
I love that Khan's getting them all to back off, and Batman's like, "What the hell?" And the next thing you know, it's Shoryuken, and Batman is punched into the side of a goddamn building by Berta. Mm-hmm. And then the Justice League lays like, "We're gonna wreck you now," and they've got these implants that make. Basically, they're being controlled by Cuvier, and they're being made to see anything that he wants to be as like a cyber. So basically, they see Drake as being a Brother Eye Borg. Yeah. And it's kind of a cool art style. Like what Chang does is it's like the right side of his face is like normal mask, and the other side is like Batborg. And it's kind of reminiscent of what they used to do in Spider-Man comics when Spidey sense would go off and all of a sudden half of Peter Parker's face was in the Spider-Man mask.
Yeah, I look at this like the panel that I'm looking at where he says, "You are a little more than where she says, "You're a little more than a warped atrocity." You think, so that reminded me of right there, that up close shot of Drake with the Batborg design. Yeah. It's a T2.
Yeah, I can see that.
A little bit, just in the close up.
Yeah.
In the panel later, where Cuvier has the lines of more like artificial constructs created to demoralize the populace. As for Micron's stories, false memories and perceptions implanted to shield the truth, not unlike what's happening now. And Tim is like, "Oh, I can imagine they're experiencing their own reality." I love this panel. If I could have this panel in like just, 18 by 18, 27 by 40, whatever, of just Batman, Batborg Batman, because you notice what's on him. in this panel with the bat emblem, they've turned him into a Red Lantern.
Oh, God.
No, look at the panel where he says,
like,
I can imagine, you look at the center of the bat, that's a Red Lantern logo.
But yeah, no, I like that intonation that, John's, like, what Terry and probably Drake fought was they were artificial constructs, which potentially could mean that the original, like Jon Stewart and Clark Kent and Princess Diana could potentially still be out there.
Yeah.
So, and again, somehow Micron was affected by Brother Eye's technology to sell this narrative that the Justice League's dead because they had him on storage. And, it's basically we end this issue with Matt yelling C3. C3.
P.O.
Barda blasting him with her Mega Rod, and the Bat Droid is dead.
The Bat Droid is dead. Yeah, the Bat Droid is dead. The only thing that's left is R2-D2 because C-3PO is gone.
Yeah.
In the final issue here, Batman Beyond number 11, 2015, this is where we get the announcement of Scooby-Pocalypse.
Don't talk smack about this. Is actually a really good book. And it's not based off of an animated series. It is like OG. This is the first time the Scooby Gang meets. The apocalypse kicks off at Burning Man, and Velma is partially responsible.
Yeah, as much as I love Scooby-Doo and the Scooby Gang, making Shaggy look more like Matthew Lillard than he should is just wrong. Because we're on issue.
Look like a hipster is wrong. Making him look like Matthew Lillard is a stroke of genius. But we could do like, if you ever want to do a pull bag on this dude, I am so on.
Oh yeah.
Really, also it uses the art by Howard Porter, who's one of my favorite Justice League artists. Like he was the collaborator with Grant Morrison on the JLA comic for many years back in the 90s and the early aughts. But seriously, there's a reason why Scooby talks, and they make Scrappy-Doo into the villain he is and always has been.
Scrappy is not a villain; he is just misunderstood.
He's evil. Evil. Anyway,
so we open with several decades from now, Neo Gotham, and we go back to the Barbara and Mayor Fox, Luke, I should say. I wanted to say Lucius, but it's Luke. They're dealing with all of this fallout, and that's going to come,
The cops are like, when they're no weapons, when they're stealing everything, no way. And then Barbara just straight up knocks a guy out. And I love Beardy McGoggle or Goggles McBeardy, whatever the name of it. Like the douche that like this guy's like, you did everything you did to keep us out. Now it's all ours. It's like, just be. It's something about, again, I can't help going back to the whole social justice thing. It just sounds like the way the art is, and with the red and white on that panel, it just sounds like the snottiest way of like, yeah, it's mine now. And then we go back to, I love in the background, we go back to Metropolis in the aftermath of the Bat Droid being destroyed, and you see Grodd Jr., Lady Monkey, Khan, Tuft, and Cuvier, and then Red Rudolph, the 6-foot reindeer mutant in the background there.
Yeah, I'm like, wait,
that was necessary.
Yeah. When did Red Riding Hood Rudolph show up? That makes no sense. And then we have this whole discussion with Cuvier and the other one about that, and then we've got Matt looking for Tim, and he finds him, and And of course, when Tim rebooted the suit, that basically fixed the cloaking technology. I was wondering when they were going to bring this one back. I have always loved the Batman Beyond cloaking technology.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I like that. And it's in this version of the suit, it's like a mental command, so you just have to think cloak.
Yep.
Or whatever, or think C3.
Yep.
And I do like that Matt is at this point, he's still just kind of being this snide. He's like, you got my brother killed, because Terry used it a lot. He was smart.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we get it. You miss your brother. Move the hell along. But they go and they decant Superman, and they take a look at what's outside, and see the League is going to town on Metropolis because they're still being made to see everybody else's cyborgs. Superman comes back, teams up with Batman. I love they never did this in the show in the one appearance of Aquagirl, but I love how she used her control over water to create the giant octopus tentacle to take out Batman. I thought that was a really crazy visual.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then we got, Cuvier's got this little remote that he credits it to an old friend for the technology to control their perceptions. So I think it might be off of Spellbinder potentially.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And then was it Tufton turns on Cuvier and destroys the remote, which releases Superman. And he pulls the implant off, and I love he does the classic. You don't see the full effect of it, but he does the classic Superman trick of yanking up the floor and doing the rug snap.
Yeah.
And it goes. He stands in front of Cairo, and then it's super speedy. He takes the implants and destroys them. And this is where we get the revelation that this is the Batman Beyond Superman suit. This is Jonathan Kent.
Yeah.
Who is the young Superboy currently in the Superman comics in the basically it's the rebirth, the rebirthiverse, in the current DC rebirth continuity, because they're not actually calling it the New 52 anymore. But yeah,
it's the New 75 now.
Yeah. Pardon me. But yeah, so, and this is where we get look, it's cool. Batman's cool. Not a cyborg. And they talk to Tufton, who reveals, I have no human past. Because up until this point, up until I read this the first time, I thought Tufton was an experimenter. Yeah, he was an experimenter like Cuvier. And he says, I have no human past. This is what I've always been, the next evolutionary step. And then it's also said that the splicing technology that Cuvier's been using is not reversible anymore.
Yeah.
So whoever, Kit Grodd Jr. and Lady Monkey and all the other splicers, Tantor and Rudolph and all them, they go off with Tufton to live wherever in the wildlands, perhaps. And he says, eventually you humans are going to mess this up, and it'll be a world where only my kind survives. And, we get back to Gotham City in the throes of this massive riot where Jonathan Kent proves to be every bit his father's son, because he gives this speech that everyone just immediately calms the F down.
Yep.
And I like even how Micron says, way to lay it down, Superman. And,
it's really, really well done, and it's a happy moment for everybody. And Superman goes off, and of course it's the Justice League. It's Batman and Superman. It doesn't matter who's in the suit. You get somebody in a Batman suit, somebody in a Superman suit. They're always going to go off and have a moment by themselves together. And Superman's like, I can see pretty far,
Yeah, and it basically it's basically giving us that the rest of the world is indeed incredibly messed up.
Yeah. And the best line about this, and this is something I wish they would have hit on, even though they don't. So you're John. What happened to my father? That's a long story.
Yeah. Although
and I'm like, come on. I'm like, come on. Give us something.
Yeah, and maybe they'll get into that in the Rebirth series at some point.
Maybe.
I would hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we basically, everyone's the heroes, rah-rah. We get that. It's not as nicely detailed as I would have liked, but we get that nice...
it's detailed enough, at least in the Comixology guided view, where I just see that one panel. with all of them there
corner like that. Yeah, it's just I wish that would have been like a full page shot of that because then get all the detail with the smiles and
but I mean the first thing I think of obviously is Justice League. At the end, right before the title comes up, the main title sequence. When they're all standing there together.
Yeah, like in the original series.
Yeah.
Although my favorite version of that is how they ended the series with everyone running down the steps of the Justice Tower.
Yeah.
At the end. But yeah, I like that, and
then we have a but wait, there's more moment, and we see Rewire, and Rewire has a boss, apparently.
Whatever you say, boss. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and then we get an advertisement for Future Quest,
which is also another great series.
And I gotta say, I know I don't want to go into final thoughts and ratings just yet, but next episode, folks, when we get to the Wired for Death storyline, I have to say I was not expecting that to be a partial flashback series, because issue number 12, the cover, he's back. Old Bruce. And I'm like, hey, I remember when this issue of this series came out and I saw the preview for it and I'm like, wait, what? Bruce is still around? Wait a second, he died in Future's End number 0. What's going on here? And then of course, you realize it's a flashback issue, but City of Yesterday, issue 7 and 11, I have no issues with the art at all. I've gotten used to Chang's style. I like Thompson's style in issue 7. It's very reminiscent of Chang, so I don't think that there's too much of a difference. There's not too much of it. Normally when artists change titles, even just for an issue, sometimes it can be very, very jarring going from one, if you're used to one artist all the time, at least for the first 6 issues, and then you go to somebody. I almost didn't even notice that it was a different artist. I thought it was Chang until I actually looked at the credits there. I absolutely love this part of the story. I think it's interesting. It's touching on Batman Beyond history with splicers and everything else while crafting its own story. The whole Green Lantern thing, again, using Cairo is very awesome and interesting. And as you said, he was what they used in the cartoon series, so that's what would make sense what they're using here.
Yeah.
I love all... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just speaking of Cairo, one of my favorite issues of like the original, like based on the animated series comic, is where he fights this villain called Blacklight, who is kind of his Sinestro, and at one point in the story, in order to defeat the villain, Terry had to punch Cairo. Mm-hmm. So it ends with him, no, come on, punch me just once, we'll be even, come on. He's like, no, I'm a non-violent, and Warhawk is like, I'll take that action. He just full on drifts him like that. It was awesome. But yeah,
of course Warhawk would do that. I mean, it's Warhawk, know?
Who's the team asshole? And Warhawk's like, yo.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love the whole arc. I love the character building with Tim and Barbara. I think that's great. I'm really starting to come around to Matt now that I know what he like. He does still have some of that whiny, bratty issue thing, but I do think that he's getting better and he's kind of growing on me. But I absolutely love that. If I was going to pick a favorite cover out of the 7, it would be a tie between out of these 4 issues, or 5 actually. It would probably be 7 and 11 are my 2 favorites. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I'll agree with you on that. My favorite covers were definitely, like, I loved issue 9 with the Mount Rushmore thing, but 7, like 11 just is a great, kind of iconic sort of cover, but number 7's my favorite just because it has just straight up, that is pure comics right there. Overall, I love this arc. Again, like I said, it's got a lot more of some of the classic Jack Kirby touches, like the Evil Factory is something from like his Fourth World, like Apocalypse and New Genesis and all that. Prince Tufton is straight out of the old Commandy comic books where it's in the future. Again, this version of the future is very reminiscent of the Great Cataclysm. You don't know exactly what happened, but the world's messed up, and there's all these animals walking around on two legs, and humans have kind of regressed to, because Commandy originally came out in and around the same time as the original Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get, like, humans have regressed evolutionarily or something like that, if that's even a word. And again, Tufton was like this prince. He was like the conflicted prince of like the Tiger Clan, where humans are subservient to us and we're the superior species. But he didn't believe in superior species, and it was kind of a commentary on race relations and such. And he worked with Commandy. So I love that. I love how they brought back the Justice League, which is definitely something they're going to need if they want to like steer the world on the right path again. And like said, like we've both read the next arc, folks, and it's going to get good.
Oh, I'm telling you, I love my favorite Batman Beyond run besides Adam Beecham and Norm Brayfogel's run. My favorite to this point, and still is the Kyle Higgins run, because Kyle did so much with the series. But Dan Jurgens turns it on its head. Like, Dan Jurgens took what Kyle started on some of this and just basically mind-blown moments, like things I was not even ever expecting to see in a Batman Beyond comic. And I'm hoping that once we get eventually around to Rebirth, that we'll still have those mind-blowing moments. I don't know, because I haven't kept up with Rebirth, so I'm not really exactly sure, like, how many issues is happening right now and things like that and whatever else. So, I'm not really sure what's going on with...
I'll tell you one thing. There is, at the end of the first or second issue, there's a huge WTF moment that eventually gives us another bigger WTF moment later on.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to that, I can't wait to hear what you say about that when we get to it. So. Yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to Batman Beyond Rebirth, because I do know that that I'm still enjoying this series, and I've enjoyed this series throughout the whole thing. So far, Batman Beyond Rebirth is up to 7 issues. So again, I'm wondering, what we've seen from Batman Beyond in the past is that the series doesn't last too long. It's it ends up being a short mini or a short maxi series where Kyle's run only had 40 issues. The original run here only had 15 issues. Norm and Adam's run only had a certain amount. I think that had maybe 18 issues or 17. I forget what it had. But it only, again, it only had a limited number of issues. And I'm really wondering, just looking at Batman Beyond Rebirth on Comixology, it says so far that they're up to 7 issues coming. So far, the first 4 issues are out. So issue 5 for Rebirth is next. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what's gonna, how is that gonna play out? Are we gonna... Is DC going to go and do something stupid like reboot their universe again, and then we have to reboot the Batman Beyond series again? I don't mind it here between this 2015 series and then the Rebirth series, because I know the Rebirth series picks up. Like, they don't just say, okay, it's going to be Terry McGinnis again. They work around to the point where, they explain to you why and what's going on. As far as the City of Yesterday arc, absolutely love it. I think it's great. Really have no complaints other than little minor art quibbles, but that's okay. There's not really anything that big, huge, oh my god, this is going to basically ruin everything kind of thing. So,
oh my god, I can't believe they did this. What the hell?
Yeah. There's no moments like that. Yeah, Tim Drake as Batman is not gonna, be covered in golden showers of pee. Somebody had
Grant Morrison.
Hey, somebody had to bring that up, because I know you're gonna bring up your other buddy at some point in this episode, because we all know he loves that image. City of Yesterday, what are you gonna rate it, 0 to 5?
Like I said, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Just again, just some minor art quibbles. I really wish they would have had a little more with Tufton and the splicers in there. Like maybe just a one-page interlude of them going to the wildlands. But other than that, yeah, no, this is a solid arc. I enjoyed it immensely, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Wired for Death is up next week here on the Pullbags Batman Beyond coverage here inside Batman Month for May 2017. We will catch you next time, folks. Make your great escape into comics.
The voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh, yeah. I suppose you would. But that's my name now.
Tell that to my subconscious.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullback, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.